All right, what's going on? Welcome to episode 1.2. I'm Genaro, that's Duran, and today we'll be talking about the best additions, biggest losses, and our favorite draft pick for each team in the AFC East and the AFC West. So today we'll be starting off with the AFC East. And it looks like, are you good to start off with the Buffalo Bills?
I'm good to go.
All right. If you want to go ahead and start with the Buffalo Bills, let's go with your favorite addition.
My favorite addition. This one was easy for me.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs from Minnesota.
Exactly.
They traded a 2020 first-round pick and second-round pick, or seventh-round pick for him. With that type of value, do you think they could have got DeAndre Hopkins?
I think so. I feel like it'd be a better fit for Josh Allen because, I mean, you look – Stephon Diggs he's the best route runner in the game, in my opinion. He just, the accuracy needs to be there, and I don't think Josh Allen's quite there yet. He's kind of in a similar mold at where Cam Newton is actually, where he needs that big body receiver to go get that. But or that, that speedster to go get it, just run underneath that. I mean, I'm not saying Stephon Diggs can't do that because he's got some speed to him. But he's more along the lines where the route running also needs to be complemented with good accuracy, and that's something that Josh Allen doesn't have yet, I should say. But yeah, I mean that I couldn't agree with you more on the best addition. I mean, this guy's an All-Pro, hands down.
Yep, that's pretty much what I was going to say. I just think they need that bigger body, catch radius guy for Josh Allen's big arm. But either way, I love Stephon Diggs. He should be their immediate number one wide receiver. They only had one 1,000-yard receiver last year.
Yeah.
And it's from one of the most inconsistent guys, John Brown. So Diggs just brings great route running, can match with John Brown's down-the-field speed. Got Beasley working in the slot a little bit. He'll definitely have his hands full with secondaries like New England and Miami who stepped their game up during the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, word for word, that's exactly what I was had to say about Stephon Diggs. Okay, well, for biggest losses, hopefully we got something different here. Who do you got for biggest losses?
Biggest loss, I got Shaq Lawson to Miami.
Oh, okay. We got something different here. I put Lorenzo Alexander.
I was going to mention that too. So
yeah.
The Bills were lucky. They didn't have many losses on their team. I narrowed it down to Shaq Lawson or Lorenzo Alexander. So the reason I chose Lawson was because he was younger and a little bit more productive. I mean, I know Lorenzo has been holding it down there for a couple years, but Lawson was number 2 on the team in sacks with 6.5. He led the team in tackles for loss with 17. He was the Bills' former first-round pick in 2016. PFF ranked him top 20 defensive end in 2018, but it seems like the last couple of years he's dropped off, and they've ranked him outside the top 50 since then. In his 4 years, he's only had 17 starts, 0 starts last year. So I think it was just time for him. Maybe Sean McDermott and him both were on the same page and wanted to move on.
So with Lorenzo Alexander, like I said, he was with the team for 2016 to 2019. 2016 was his only Pro Bowl selection with the team, but he's been a consistent, player day in, day out. Played with all 16 games for every team of the year. Every time that he's with the Buffalo Bills, I just think that he brings that leadership role, and they have to find someone to pretty much, fill in that leadership. So whether it is Tremaine Edmonds or somewhere else, or this Trey White, maybe. But in that linebacking room, I think they lose, quality veteran leadership in there. So they have to find somebody to possibly, work where they're in.
My favorite draft pick was AJ Epinesa, uh,
Good
with no
value.
with no first round pick because they traded it for Diggs.
Yeah.
AJ was just a solid pick at 54. As I mentioned, with Shaq Lawson leaving, he should compete for the starting defensive end position. Lawson, even though he didn't start any games last year, he played in 46% of the snaps. And yeah, Epinesa should be a rotational player at least. Their current starters are Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, Mario Addison, and all those guys will be over 30 this year. Epinesa just brings some youth. Pair him up with Ed Oliver along the front
Mhm.
four if Ed Oliver could stay out of trouble. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of silly being in this pandemic, being on lockdown to get charged with DUI by Ed Oliver, but that's not what today's episode's about. So my favorite draft pick of theirs is actually their third round draft pick, and that was Zach Moss. Zach Moss, I think that he's going to be a great complement to Motor Singletary. They picked him like I said, round 3, pick 86. He'll take a lot of the load off of Motor Singletary as well. He has great visions between the tackles, and he compares himself to beast mode, but I think that he's beast mode light. I mean, he does break some tackles. He has great, like I said, he has great vision between the tackles. He does have that capability to break tackles as well. He gangs those tough yards, so he's not going to go down the first contact, obviously, but he'll put him down third short or at the goal line. Then you got your guy in Zach Moss. His pass game ability as well. He can, is great pass catcher out of the backfield. One thing that he could work on, I would say, is not really his forte, is his breakaway speed and acceleration. But other than that, I think they get a great compliment back losing Frank Gore. They just replaced it with a Zach Moss, who's, a little bit younger, by a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so the next team we got for the AFC East, is the Miami Dolphins. So let's hear what you have to say about their best addition.
Best addition, I couldn't pass up saying Tua. It's a potentially franchise-changing pick. Miami's been looking for a franchise quarterback for a long time now, with their last Pro Bowler being Dan Marino, 1995. I think ultimately it's just Tua needs to stay healthy. If he does, I think this pick will pay off. He's a proven winner at Alabama. He could bring some long-term stability and leadership to the football team. Their offense just needed help from last year. Football Outsiders ranked Miami's offense number 27 overall. They also added offensive tackle Austin Jackson with the pick that they got from Minka, so they got a little bit more help there. I did wish that they gave them some more wide receiver help. They only have Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Albert Wilson leading the way. The good news is they still have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks next year, so that should be when Tua's stepping in to be the full-time starter, and that's hopefully they address it then.
Nice. Yeah, for actually my theirs is Byron Jones. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, you know what he's all about, what he can bring, his versatility, and I think that's what I like the most about not only his game but also what Brian Flores wants to do with that defense. What he wanted to do with Minka didn't really set well with Minka, being versatile, playing multiple positions on the field, and he wanted to play just the safety, and essentially what he's doing over there at Pittsburgh now. But I think the capability that Byron Jones does have, having some experience in the pro level at free safety and at right corner, if they stick him just at corner, they have, one of the best, tandems in the league. He doesn't have a bunch of interceptions on his resume, but I mean, he doesn't really get targeted often, as you know. But they drafted another cornerback in the first round, and whether they want to develop him to take over the other side of Xavier Howard and move Brian Jones in the safety. I mean, whatever they do, I mean, I trust Brian Flores. How can you not? I think that'll be good. I think another, undersight of what Brian Flores does as well. He also brought in some coaches, one from Cal, one from I think Illinois, and they just have pretty much their technicians of what they do on the craft, whether it's he's still the defensive backs coach from Cal, and I think that'll help out their defensive backfield even more so. For them still staying on Miami Dolphins, now we want to go to their biggest losses. Do you got anybody for their any notable losses for them?
Yeah, I kind of cheated on this one, and I went with Minkah Fitzpatrick. I know it wasn't an off-season move, but they did lose him last year with the trade to the Steelers. And I think they just have so much cap space and draft picks this year that they didn't really need to get rid of anyone. During their fire sale when they traded Minkah to the Steelers, with that pick, they got Laramie Tunsil's replacement, Austin Jackson. So I started looking at their depth chart, and they still have a hole there at safety. PFF ranked Eric Rowe and Bobby McClain both outside the top 65.
Okay.
So they did get third-round pick Brandon Jones, who will probably be battling for a position there as well. But it's just hard for me to notice that hole there where Minkah would have just completed that secondary, which they value so much. You could just see how many draft picks and offseason signings they've put into it that Minkah, I think, would have just made this probably close to the number one secondary in the league if they would have held on to him.
Nice. Yeah, I can't think of any notable losses for the Dolphins, unfortunately. I mean, I could say Tony Oden. He was the defensive backs coach underneath the Gase regime, and he stayed on the team as the safeties coach underneath new head coach Brian Flores, and now he's left there to be the defensive backs coach for the 49ers. So, that's pretty much the only notable loss that I could think of.
What about Taco Charlton?
Oh, Taco. Yeah.
I think he's still out there, is he?
No, the Chiefs actually picked him up.
Oh, Chiefs. Hey, there you go, Chiefs. Good luck.
Good luck with that one. Good luck with the bad Taco. All right. Now let's go ahead and move down to the favorite draft pick. You pretty much touched everything on my favorite draft pick, and the favorite draft pick actually was Tua. And you already mentioned everything that I liked about him, and just hit the nail on the head for me. I mean, I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was going to put Byron Jones there as the best addition. I think the only reason I didn't is because they were already stacked there at corner. Yeah. So I just feel like, Tua being the best draft pick, best addition. I mean, if this works out, it could be franchise changing. So Tua makes both of those for me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and go to the New England Patriots. Let's go ahead and go with the best addition. Go ahead.
Best addition, I got Kyle Duggar, safety from Lenore-Ryan. I picked him because he's in line to replace two safeties that are over 32 years old.
Exactly.
Devin McCourty and Patrick Chung. He's coming out of a small school, and he'll probably need a little bit of time to develop. And who's better to learn from than Bill Belichick and two solid veterans? Mm-hmm. So he showed at the Senior Bowl he can keep up with the top rookie talent. He plays a little bit in the box. He plays some slot coverage. Safety Duran Harmon got traded to the Lions, and he was actually on the field more than Patrick Chung. He was on the field for 65% of the snaps. So I think that just allows Duggar to step in and fill that role immediately and contribute to the team.
Yeah, same here. I mean, watching him in the practices in the Senior Bowl, I just saw that right away. That I saw to his game is that, his quickness. I mean, he can contribute right away to on special teams, not only as, a gunner of some sort, but also he has experience returning kicks as well. it's funny, in my mocks, I actually thought it was going to be either him or Jeremy Chin. I went with Jeremy Chin only because I just feel like he's a little bit faster, a little bit better all around. But ultimately, the pick was Kyle Duggar. So, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head for that. That was also my best addition, and actually, to give it away, my favorite draft pick as well.
All right.
All right, so let's go with the loss, I think.
First loss. All right. I mean, we can't avoid saying Tom Brady.
Nah.
Everyone knows what he meant to the Patriots. This could be the biggest loss in the league. He was their starting quarterback for 19 years. Never had a losing season. Only was below 10 wins once, and that was in 2002. I mean, he started over 283 games, winning 219 of them, 17 playoff appearances. He's the GOAT, multiple Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP, NFL MVP. I mean, everyone knows Tom Brady. So, did you have anyone else there?
Yeah. I didn't. I mean, I could put Kyle Van Noy in there, but I mean, when it comes to the biggest losses, it's going to be the GOAT and Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean,
so let's go with their favorite.
I didn't want to leave out Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins either. They're both leaving to join former New England coaches. Matt Patricia at the Lions, Brian Flores at the Dolphins. But the Patriots had the #1 defense last year, and both of these players were on the field for 80% of the snaps. They both led the team in forced fumbles and sacks, and that was #1 and #2 each. So they combined for 137 total tackles. They're both very productive leaders in the defense, and they'll be hard to replace. I mean, not Tom Brady hard, but they'll be hard to replace.
Do you think Kyle Van Noy or Jamie Collins, do you think they'll succeed on the new teams? I mean, if you look at Patriots defensive, starters that have left, such as Trey Flowers, to a new team, they haven't really stood out pretty well. So do you think that's like because they're around the Patriot organization and they have help, or is it because, the new team isn't really right?
I mean, they both have Patriot coaches, and honestly, that happened to Jamie Collins when he left to go to the Browns.
Yeah.
Then he ended up coming back. But, no, I can see them as long as they keep them in their roles, and both of these coaches that they're going to are defensive-focused guys. I can see them being productive and on the field doing their thing still. But, yeah, I could see it. I did have a best draft pick for these guys outside of Kyle Duggar. And I kind of cheated on this one too, and I combined Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene.
Okay.
Asiasi from UCLA, Keene from Virginia Tech. Last year, New England's tight ends combined for a league-low 37 catches and tied for last with 2 touchdowns. That's just rare for the Patriots because they're used to that Hall of Fame production from Gronk. And, I know last year was just a down year, and it just didn't look the same with Tom Brady. But now they got Jared Stidham taking the reins. This could provide 2 big body targets for him. These 2 tight end sets, as we've seen in Baltimore, could help the run game, help a young quarterback complete some passes. And Bill Belichick could be trying to replicate what he did in 2010 when he drafted Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. You got Asiasi as your typical tight end type. And I went back and I watched some Keene tape just because I wasn't too familiar with him. And, man, he's more of H-back. I saw him catch touchdowns from in-line, slot, backfield. He was kind of a do-it-all guy. So I think both of these guys together could be my favorite draft pick for this team.
I think they're going to move King to the fullback role because I think pretty sure that the fullback just retired. So
Okay.
I think what they want to do is push him back to the fullback role and just keep that position alive.
Yeah, he looked comfortable there. Could be their youth check light.
All right. So let's go to the new New York Jets. Let's start off with obviously their best addition. Who you got?
Best addition I got, Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. This was just a stacked tackle class, and they took the guy that they wanted. He could be their starter for 9+ years if they just keep things going right. The Jets started George Fant and Chuma Edoga last year, who PFF ranked number 57 and 79 at tackle. So they just needed help for their young quarterback pretty bad.
Yeah.
Not to mention helping Le'Veon Bell, who just seemed every time he touched the ball last year, he was getting hit in the backfield, having to break a tackle. And, that line just wasn't doing good. Becton was ranked number 3 on Dane Brugler's tackle rankings. He won the Jenkins Trophy that goes to the top blocker in the ACC. And what I like about that is it's voted on by the coaches. It's not just some award given out by the media or something like that. It's voted on by the coaches who watch the tape and see every one of his games. At 6'7", 365 pounds, he has some good athleticism, and he should help this line moving forward immediately.
Yeah, I think he's going to be Donald's best friend. And if you look at Donald's, how many times he's been sacked already, he's been sacked over 60 times in the past 2 seasons. So I think adding Mekhi Becton is honestly, great for them. He's actually my favorite draft pick. But, I mean, as far as additions go, I mean, I'm going to be a homer here. I think it's Frank Gore. I think what Frank Gore is going to do actually bring a lot of, leadership to that running back room, which already has, and also just brings over, an iron horse, for sure, because he's just, I mean, he's an ageless wonder. I mean, he's still going at it. He's still going strong. He's not going to give you, like, the best stats like he did in his earlier career. Obviously, that's all going to go to Lev Bell, but I think sprinkle him in there to give Lev Bell a rest. You're not really losing a beat because, you're getting a hard worker. His pass production, abilities there. He can catch the ball. He has experience in all that, and he can share his wisdom to Lev Bell, and that could be great. So their biggest loss to the Jets, who do you got?
Their biggest loss, I got Robbie Anderson, wide receiver, going to the Panthers. I mean, I like Robbie Anderson as a player, but I never thought he could be a number 1 wide receiver. Even though he led the entire Jets offense in snaps last year, he was number 2 in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, behind Jamison Crowder in all those categories. The Jets receiving core should be better this year. They added Denzel Mims, Rashard Perriman, a first-round pick, ex-bust, and Josh Doxson can contribute, but I wouldn't count on that. I think Anderson's actually going to do better with the Panthers. He gets to team up with DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and he just doesn't have to be the primary outside receiver there, and defenses won't focus on him. I think he could take advantage of number 2 cornerbacks. You got a best draft pick?
The best draft pick for me it was Mekhi Becton. I mean, I couldn't really look at anybody else in this draft class and say, no one's better than what they got because this was the biggest need for them. I could say, it's Denzel Mims because what he brings, athleticism and whatnot. But if I'm comparing the two, I'm going to have to go with Becton on being my favorite draft pick as well as addition.
You got it. I actually did go with Denzel Mims here.
Okay.
And the reason I did is because Robbie Anderson being the biggest loss, I just threw Mims in there. Mims was picked at the end of the 2nd round. Sam Darnold needed some help, and he got it there. And they also got O-line help. So he got his offensive lineman, he got his wide receiver. So Becton and Mims should step right in. According to Football Outsiders, the Jets were ranked number 31 in overall offense last year with only 3,100 passing yards and 19 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty lousy. Mims better step in and help out this kid. I mean, poor Sam Darnold, he just needs some help out there.
All right. Well, that actually concludes our episode 2. You can go ahead and watch our episode 1, where we talked about our top 5 candidates for MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year. The AFC East, we went overhead and touched over the Bills, the Dolphins, Patriots, and the Jets. Next one, episode 3, is we'll be talking about the AFC West.